everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I am your host, Harry Rice. Today is another Canadiens game, so that means another episode of the HabWrap, obviously. No Habs trades or, obviously, free agent signings or anything of the sort to talk about. That would require a bonus episode, not yet at least. Hopefully, second line center, Crosby, happens very soon. But as for the game we played tonight against the New Jersey Devils, and, I think it's safe to say the honeymoon is probably over for the Montreal Canadiens. Very, very lucky to come out of this game with a point, which they do get. After trailing for a vast majority of the game, we're gonna talk about it, and of course, we got to do the lines. You can't do a hockey game without the lines. The opening lines for the Canadiens were Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Newhook, Kapanen, Demidov, Bolduc, Doc, Gallagher, and Anderson, Evans, Veleno. Matheson, Dobson, Struble, Hudson, and Jack-Eye Carrier were on the blue line. Jakub Dobesh gets the start in net. He will look to keep improving on his numbers. And Samuel Montembeault backs him up for some reason after a fantastic last game. Montembeault almost single-handedly the reason that the Canadiens actually would go to overtime in that game. The opening lines for the Devils were Nason, Jack Hughes with Bratt, Meyer, Hischier, Mercer, Palat, Glass, Gritschuk, and Cotter, Lemenko, and Glendening. Siegenthaler, Hamilton, Dillon, and Luke Hughes, Chalowski, and Nemec were on the blue line. Jacob Markstrom gets the start in net as he recently had, I believe it's a 3-year extension worth $6 million per. And Jake Allen, the former Montreal Canadien, will back him up as I believe he is still looking for a potential extension with the New Jersey Devils. We'll see if he gets one. We'll see if he goes to free agency. In the first period, Slafkovsky gets hit by Siegenthaler after he tries to break in. That was a good hit. Devils look depressed. Veleno has a good stick to get a puck off of Luke Hughes' stick. And then the Devils score. Newhook and Kapanen run into each other. Cody Glass breaks in. Bottom of the left circle, basically. He just wrists it, and it's 1-0 Devils. Unassisted. Dobesh needs to make that save. Actually, sorry, that wasn't at 155. That was 153, actually. Dobesh just needs to make that save. He needs to make the glove. He needs to get the glove on that. First shot, first goal for the New Jersey Devils. Not looking good for the Canadiens as of yet. Why was Montembeault not playing? And then all of a sudden, Montreal scores just over a minute later. I don't know what happened, but the Canadiens score. It's a lucky break as Dobson takes a shot. It goes off both a Devil and Kirby Dach, bounces up in the air, comes back down, and it hops into the net. Montreal get a very, very lucky break. Doc, he's going to get credit for it at 2:59. He's recognized with a tip-in, which I think is just very funny how that's recognized as a tip-in goal. He gets that from Dobson and Matheson. So if your name was Son, you were very likely going to have a very good game, unless your name was Mike Matheson, in which you were going to be an abomination come clutch time. Doc, actually, with 3 goals in his last 2 games, he looks very, very impressive. He looks like he might be getting on a bit of a roll. Fingers crossed for that. Devils get a bit physical 5 minutes in. Kapanen looks for something at the side of the net. There's a rebound, Newhook, and the shot is just wide. That would have been awesome to get Newhook another goal there. Habs couldn't handle their passes. Mercer, he gets a shot. Dobesh makes his first save 7 minutes in. Not a ton of shots in this game for either team, really, especially in this first period. The first and the third were very similar in terms of shots, and in general, just unfortunately, not a ton of high-octane action at either end, really. Demidov pushes. There's a puck turned over after Kapanen just can't get a puck in the slot. Not putting that on Demidov or Kapanen. It's a good play, but sometimes the puck just bounces on you when you don't expect it to. Devils then press. Nason has a good shot stopped by Dobesh. And the Habs go to a penalty kill as Doc is called for goalie interference. On the replay, it was the right call. Doc kind of skates through the crease. He doesn't make an effort to avoid the goaltender. Markstrom doesn't go down. He's hurt or anything, but it's just It's clearly a goalie interference, and that's very unfortunate. The Habs get a clear. Andy with speed forces Markstrom to clear a puck. It's the Devils' top line press. There's a good stop by Dobesh. Rebound gets to Nason. No clue how he did not put that in. I don't think he missed. I think a Hab got a stick in there, but either way, very surprised that was not 2-1 Devils. It's one thing I noticed about Dobesh in this first period. He was very, very wobbly. He was very much not playing his style of goaltender. He was giving up a lot of potential open net chances, which thankfully not many would actually get in the back of the net. Devils try to enter through center. Suzuki has a good clear. Devils cycle, but there's a pass right to Josh Anderson. That's later. Andy gets a pass from Matheson. He kills time. He goes for a skate with it. The Habs are 1-for-1 on the penalty kill. Glendening comes in. A good pad stop by Dobesh. The shots were 4-1 Devils with 8:30 left. Told you there was not a ton of shots in this first period. Dobesh gets screened. There's a shot from Meyer that goes way wide. He did not see that at all. That was very lucky for the Canadiens. Speaking of whom, have 0 shots since the Doc goal. I think I put that note with about 7 minutes left. So they had gone almost about 13 minutes without a shot. No, about 10 minutes, I think. I don't know how to math. About 10 minutes without a shot. Gritchuk, good hands. There's a near chance on net. Matheson then lays out Lemenko right before he goes for a line change. That was kind of fun. Dobesh covers a puck quickly as the Devils try to rush. Habs top line get to press. There's some good work. Hudson ends up drawing a call, but there's a good pass to Slavkovsky. That gets stopped, and the Habs go to a power play. Meyer is called for a trip on Hudson. Good quick passing. Hudson finds Demidov. Bottom of the right circle to Suzuki, and a one-timer that is stopped by Markstrom. Caulfield has a good chance wide open, but he's just off the side of the net instead. And unfortunately, that would be it for the power play because Demidov is called for a trip along the boards. That sucks. We've got 1:30 of 4-on-4 into a very short Devils power play. We are 0-for-1 on the power play tonight. Sorry. Caulfield gets a clean break off a steal. He comes in and a save, gets his rebound, and Markstrom with the pad. Markstrom, for the very few shots he had to face in this first period after the Doc goal, and I'm not going to put the Doc goal on him, it was just a really, really weird goal. But Markstrom had a decent amount of saves for the decent amount of high quality saves for the low amount of shots that he faced. Low volume, high danger chance, I guess you could say. Bratt then gets a breakaway the other way. There's a good stop by Dobesh. He just blockers that away. Not really much of a chance for him. On the Devils power play, the Habs clear immediately. The Devils do not really even get a look to set up, let alone to get a shot on net. Habs are 2-for-2 on the penalty kill. Glass has a wrister at the line. Dobesh holds with 1:03 left. The shots were 7-4 Devils, and it's a 1-1 tie game after the first period. For the second period, Evans' line goes out to start. Myers is on a break. The shot is just over Dobesh. There's a 2-on-1 then shortly after for the Devils. Hughes waits out Dobesh with a wide open net. And holy shit, it stayed out. On the replay they showed, Bratt actually got his stick on it, and that prevented the goal. A very lucky break for the Canadiens. Again, Dobesh tried to stay with Hughes. He just ended up getting out faked. And lucky for him, Jesper Bratt said, not on my watch you're scoring. There's some good passing for the Canadiens. Kapanen finds Newhook. Demidov back to Newhook. Back to Demidov's side of the net, who just can't tap it home. My God, both teams had wide open chances. This game could have been, with all the breakaways and the open nets, this game could have been 5-4. I know. I think it was Mike Johnson or Brian Mudryk, one of the two, were saying it could have been 4-3. It could have been 5-4. This game could have been completely wide open, and yeah, it could have been a complete goaltender fuckfest, really. And it wouldn't, for a while at least, it wouldn't end up being that. There's a puck that bounces on Bolduc as he tried to break in. There's an eventual offside. Habs push. Evans and Hudson get on a 2-on-1, but they can't finish that. Veleno at the line. There's a shot. Markstrom holds after Anderson nearly whacks at a rebound. Dobesh has a stop on Siegenthaler. Habs go the other way with some good pressure. Struble has a look, but he misses the net. Devils with some, as I put in my notes, luck control, but obviously I meant puck control. And they end up scoring. Andre Palat gets his first of the year, surprisingly. Honestly, a little bit surprised it took, 12 games for the Devils? I think that's how many they've had this year. Palat, off of surprisingly bad Nick Suzuki coverage. You do not hear about Suzuki failing to cover a man often. But Palat gets it at 8:05. It's kind of a just from behind the net, centers it in front, and Palat is the guy there to put it home. He scores from Hughes and Nemec again at 8:05. So the 2-1, the Devils have a 2-1 lead. That just sucks. Markstrom is coming out to play the puck a good amount of times. There were, I think, 3 or 4 times in the second period alone where Markstrom would come out, challenge, and he'd pass the puck to a player. He was very active in getting the Devils started. Devils do end up icing one, but the Habs go to a penalty kill with 8 minutes left. Kapanen's called for a trip on Jack Hughes. Devils control in the opening minute. They were all over the puck. Matheson ends up getting away with a trip. Puck comes out of the zone. Dobesh has a shot. There's a rebound. He dives down, and a shot is, I think it was just tipped wide. Dobesh gets very lucky there. The Canadiens in general were getting very lucky with their goaltending. I'm actually, it's funny. I'm looking at the site right now for the NHL Game Center just because this is how I usually track the goals at the end of the night. I have them in my notes, but I just verify with the NHL site, and they keep changing the Canadiens' amount of shots between one number and the next. So whatever number I say at the end of the game, no, they keep switching between that and the next number. I don't like spoiling, but I'm seeing that change a few times, and it's really funny. It's like, no, they have this. No, they have this. No, they have this. No, they have this. Leave it. But the Habs are 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. Glass with speed, but the shot is just wide. He looked to double down. Devils get a 2-on-1. Dobesh does make the save. Devils are in control. There's a shot off Demidov. That stung him. He ended up going down the tunnel. He'd be right back on the bench after my next note, thankfully. Habs can't connect with passes. They just have not been good tonight. Hudson eventually gets a shot in the slot. Markstrom squeezes the pads. That's when Demidov was back. Doc gets engaged with Glendening, a really good battle there. I think Doc ended up tripping Glendening. Glendening gave Doc a shove. Habs look to press. There's a power play for them. Nemec gets called two for a hook on Bolduc as they tried to board play the puck. I think that came with about 3 minutes left, if I remember correctly. There's a shorthanded burst. Jack Hughes has a pads. Jack Hughes comes in. Good pad stop by Dobesh. The top unit tries to pass. Hudson's doing his best to be the QB. Habs just could not get something on net. They were 0 for 2 on the power play. The shots are 20-12 for the Devils, and they have a 2-1 lead after the second period. In the third period, Montreal scores. 59 seconds in, Jake Evans gets his second of the night. Just comes in on a rush, puts it on net. It just squeaks by Markstrom, and they tie the game up. Evans with, like I said, his second of the year from Anderson and Noah Dobson. So Dobson has himself a 2-point game. Great momentum for the Canadiens. And then they go to a penalty kill, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. Struble's called for a hook. That sucks. Anderson gets a stick on a puck to clear the zone. Anderson then is on the receiving end of a Devils pass. He clears again. Devils just couldn't set up until they can. The Devils for the first half couldn't set up, and then the second half they started to get into the zone, and they end up scoring. As a result, no they don't. I don't know what the hell happened. I think it was Jack Hughes along the right side. It might have been along the wall. Fires it on net. It goes off Dobson, and it doesn't go in the net because Dobson has the freaking IQ of someone with a really high IQ. Because he just takes the stick and stops the puck on the line and just clears it out. Dobson, who almost gives the Devils a goal, takes it right back. Noah Dobson is genuinely fantastic. I have no clue, genuinely no clue how Noah Dobson was this hated by Islanders fans, because he is really good defensively. He's great offensively. I don't know if it's just because the Islanders have a complete lack of offense, so any guy who tries to do offensive things, they just don't like. I don't know if it's because Dobson realized he shouldn't be wasting his talents on Long Island, and that's why he wanted out. That's why he chose to go to Montreal instead of Columbus, surely. Yeah, just absolutely insane how good Noah Dobson is. This guy is so good so far. Dobech ends up covering on a long-range shot by Myers. Habs with a kill. They are 4 for 4 on the night. Habs with pressure. Doc ends up losing an edge, but he remains on the puck. There's a pass by his line. There's a Hudson shot wide. Habs were kind of just firing what they could on the net. They know Markstrom might be in his own head. However, their momentum is ruined once again by Jaden Struble, who gives a cross-check to the face of a Devil. That's called just for a high stick. Very lucky, as that probably could have been considered a 5 in a game. Thankfully it wasn't, though. Habs get a clear. Matheson tries to clear, but he takes too long. He gets stripped. Matheson then ends up clearing, gets the puck, and just immediately flicks it down to end the first minute of the penalty kill. There's a good shot block on a Brat chance by Dobson. Evans is in shorthanded. He just passes it right back into his own zone to kill it off. Absolutely love that. Would I like to see him try and get a shorthanded chance? Yeah, but the worst case scenario out of that is there's a shot and the Devils get possession. They go back up and they score. Much better to just pass it back, wait until you get the 5-on-5, and I like what Evans did there. The Habs, speaking of which, are 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. The top line gets back out after a good 5 minutes of not being able to get out there because of both the penalty kills. Suzuki at the line as a slapper. Caulfield at the doorstep just can't get a handle on it with a wide open net. But it doesn't matter. Shortly after, the Canadiens score with 9:27 left. Oliver Kapanen gets on a rebound right in the slot, and he backhands it home at 9:27. Like I said, Kapanen with his 5th of the year from Alex Newhook. So Newhook, he's having himself a very solid go of it. Newhook just took the shot. It bounced right to Kapanen, and he just did what he could. He backhands it home. Canadiens, they have the lead all of a sudden. Again, with 9:27, all they got to do is just hold on, not do any defensive lapses, play safe, pressure, but be a little bit aggressive. The top line then press. Good shit as Jack with some good passing. Suzuki has a one-timer blocked. There's another chance. Suzuki goes across the slav. There's a good stop. The rebound. He just can't whack it home. That would have been great to give the Canadiens a 2-goal advantage. Devils try to cycle, but there's some sticks by the Habs. Both teams kind of playing a little bit of trap hockey. Neither really getting a ton of shots for a few minutes. Habs then ice a puck with 3 minutes left. Mercer off a bouncer gets a look, but there's a good stick by Matheson. Devils end up pulling the goalie with 2:10 left. There's a huge shot at the line that's deflected out of play. The Canadiens end up getting it out off the next face-off. Well, it's out of the zone. But they end up they win the draw off the next face-off. But the Devils are pressuring. Habs can't get the empty netter. Matheson has a shot block. He was a bit limpy. He then falls down, and the Devils score to tie it up with 1:07 left. Meyer with basically a second chance as a shot, and it gets to Meyer, and he ends up putting it home. Yeah, he had actually had a shot moments earlier, that's what I mean. It's a 3-3 tie game. Meyer scores from Hughes and Bratt with 1:07 left. Matheson just couldn't help his own goalie there, despite the shot block. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Canadiens blow another lead. And this is why I say the honeymoon is over. The Canadiens, after 2 periods, again had 12 shots. Back-to-back games where they don't get shots. This is a team that's getting massively outplayed. There's got to be changes, I think. I don't know if it's because that Evans-Anderson-Gallagher line has been separated, and so for some reason it's fucking with the chemistry of all 4 lines. But the Canadiens got to do something to get things back in order, and I'm hoping that eventually ends up with an Anderson trade and Crosby coming in. Not necessarily in the same move, but I'm sure eventually it'll happen. Devils look depressed on the final minute. They know they don't want to go to overtime with Caulfield, Suzuki, and Hudson probably starting. There's a few good sticks by the Canadiens. Anderson in the slot is given a shot, and he goes wide, of course. Why the hell are you passing to Josh Anderson? The shots are 26-18 for the Devils, and we are headed to overtime. For the Canadiens, this is the fourth straight game that has gone to overtime for them, and I believe it is the 8th overtime game of the year, because the stats showed our overtime record is 5-1, so that's 6. Tonight is 7 because the game didn't finish yet. And then the one game that didn't finish in overtime that ended in a shootout last game against Philly. So I'm pretty sure this is 8 games that have gone to overtime already for the Canadiens. Absolutely unacceptable. They need to start finishing games in regulation. I get the ability to come back is very good, and having that ability is always good for a team. You need to be able to hold on to a lead, and you need to be able to close out games. You can't score 2 goals in the first 3 minutes and allow a team to come back. You can't go down 3-0 because your defense decides to prolapse all over the ice, take 2 bad penalties, 2 of your prime penalty killers, and allow a tip in the slot that's very, very hard to stop, and have to dig yourself out of that hole. You can't need to come back every game to win. Again, you can't go up 2-0 and then play back for 55 minutes. You have to be able to go out, get a 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 lead, and not be afraid to step on that gas. I understand that you want to wait to have those big goal-scoring games until the playoffs, probably. But still, I think that you just need to be able to have some of those in the regular season to get that experience. So when you get to the playoffs, you can score big, you can hold the lead. You can't rely on simply just we'll figure out in the playoffs. You got to get to the playoffs first off, and you keep playing the way. If the Canadiens keep playing the way that they did tonight and the game against Philadelphia, who they should have blown out. This game against Jersey, the fact we even got a point out of Jersey, who's leading the Metropolitan, I'm incredibly happy with that. But, you should have blown out Philadelphia. They should not have even had a chance in that game. But, you have to be able to blow out games. You have to be able to play up to opponents that are ahead of you in the standings. You have to be able to play up to opponents that are below you, that are rebuilding like Philadelphia. You have to be able to put your foot on the gas and pump out 4, 5, 6 goals in a game. You can't, do what we did against Philly, come out flat, go down 3-0, hold them to that for the rest of the first period, and in the second period come out, score 4, and just put your foot on the goddamn pedal. Put your foot off the pedal and allow them to come back and eventually win it. You have to be able to close out games, and I'm hoping Montreal eventually ends up learning that, because my God, this is going to be a disastrous season. After the great start we got off to, we need to be able to close out games in regulation. We cannot keep giving teams points. And, we're going to talk about the next games for the Canadiens. However, firstly, of course, we do need to get to the overtime. The Devils do win the opening draw. Hughes comes in the zone. He looks, but there's not much he likes. There's no shot. The Habs eventually do get their line change in. It's Newhook with Demidov and Matheson. So you're not going to put Slafkovsky out there. You're not going to put Evans out there for a little bit of defensive responsibility. You're not going to put Doc out there, who's looking good right now. You're going to put Newhook, who I get has been playing well recently, but he's much better suited for a third role guy. If you want to put Newhook and Doc together, that could have worked. Demidov and Slav would have been nice. Bolduc maybe. Would have liked to see him. He seems to be really good at scoring on the road. At least he was for the first part of the season. And Newhook also at the blue line just gives it away. He just gives the puck away to Jesper Bratt. He gets in on a break. Dobesh decides, nah, you can have it. He's not gonna, cover up the 5-hole, try to poke check, maybe try and cover the 5-hole with a stick, go for a blocker save. or glove stop. I think it's the glove he has in his left hand. Yeah, no. And so Myers, he just, sorry, it was actually Jesper Bratt. Sorry, Bratt just he puts it home. It's a backhand, no less, and the Devils win. Habs lose it in overtime, 4-3. The shots were 2-0 for the Devils in the overtime as well. The Canadiens have been figured out, I think, and yeah, there needs to be something done. I get we've lost 2 games in a row, but this is a team that is now, what is it, 9-3-2? Realistically, should be 10-2-2 because of that Oilers game again, but regardless, 9-3-2. This is a team that's going to start racking up overtime losses like crazy. It would not surprise me if in the next 4 this team ends up being 10-4-4. This is a team that's looking like they're about to slow down. They had a great October, of course. They started off November okay, but just you lose a game to Philadelphia, which you should have been destroying them. You should not have even gotten to overtime in that game. Again, this game against the Devils, it's not the fault of losing the game. It's not the fault of losing the game tonight. Again, like, the Devils are a very good team. No fault in losing to them. It's the way that you lose to them. The fact that you were not in the game for a majority of it. The few shots you got were very good, yes, but you need to be able to put up 30 shots on Jacob Markstrom, who is completely fragile right now. He is not a good goaltender early in the season. A 4.18 goals against average coming into tonight? Like, my God. But regardless, or as I like to say, irregardless. But regardless, yeah, the Canadiens lose in overtime, unfortunately. They really didn't deserve to get to overtime, but it's good they at least got a point, I guess. The final shots were 28-19 for the Devils, so the shots kept switching between 19 and 20 for the Canadiens. They do lose this one in overtime, unfortunately, and yeah, just a game that they needed to have, and they just didn't. So we're gonna get into the stats, and then we're gonna work our way on out of here. Yeah, Nick Suzuki leads the Canadiens with 3 goals, 16 assists, 19 points. His 12-game point streak unfortunately ended tonight. He cannot extend it to 13. That really sucks. Cole Caulfield with 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points. He does lead the Canadiens in goal scoring, and I believe he is still tied for the league lead in goals as well. Lane Hutson's got 1 goal, 12 assists, 13 points. His 7-game point streak ends tonight as well. Ivan Demidov with 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. He had a 3-game point streak. That also ended tonight, unfortunately. Alex Newhook with 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points. He has 5 points in his last 6 games, I believe it is now. Noah Dobson with a goal and 9 assists for 10 points. He's been looking very solid. Juraj Slavkovsky with 6 goals, 2 assists, 8 points. His 4-game point streak also ended tonight. Oliver Kapanen with 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. Mike Matheson again has the exact opposite with 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points. Brendan Gallagher with 7 assists on the year. Zach Bolduc and Kirby Dach each have 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. Dach actually has 3 goals in his last 2 games, so if you want to put a bet on him potentially getting a goal against Utah, the odds might be in your favor right now. Alex Carey has a goal, 4 assists for 5 points. Jake Evans has 2 goals and an assist for 3 points. Josh Anderson has the opposite of him with a goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Jaden Strubl's got 3 assists. Caden Gooley, who is unfortunately still hurt, but I believe he is skating back home in Quebec, so during the upcoming 4-game homestand, hopefully he comes back because, oh my God, I don't know if I want to see Jaden Struble in the lineup on Saturday. But Gooley's got a goal and an assist for 2 points. Arbor Jacki and Patrick Laine, who is unfortunately still hurt, each with an assist. Arbor Jacki's got 2 fights. Caden Gooley, Jaden Struble, Caden Gooley, and Joe Veleno each have a fight as well. So, yeah, those are the stats for the Canadiens. We'll talk about this upcoming road trip. So Saturday, we do play, this coming Saturday, the 8th, we play the Utah Mammoth. I believe it's for the first time, actually. Then it's Tuesday. we play the LA Kings. Again, 4-game homestand, so the Kings are in town. On next Thursday, we play the Dallas Stars. And then next Saturday, a very exciting matchup. The first of the year between the Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. So, halfway through the month, we've got 4 games. We're going to see what the record looks like in November. So far, 1-0-2. It's actually not horrible. But again, you want to start closing out some of these games. Heading into the game against Boston, the team could legitimately end up being 1-1-1. I think a win against the Kings could happen. A straight-up loss to the Stars, and then an overtime loss to the Mammoth I could see happening. Obviously, I'd love being 3-0-0 into the Boston game, but that's just unrealistic to think that's going to happen. So I could see a 1-1-1 record into the game against Boston. Of course, Boston looking like a little bit of a heater at the start of the year was just a mirage. I think that we should be able to beat Boston in that game. We'll see if it happens, of course. But overall, in the homestand, I think the Canadiens could end up going 2-1-1. So, fingers crossed for that. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, that is going to do it for today's episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for listening, whether you're on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, anything like that. Don't forget to hit the follow button. Share with all your friends and family, anyone who you think would like a Canadiens podcast, would like just a fan cast in general for hockey, just they're a sports fan or whatever. Either way, send them the link, and I'm always happy to get new listeners to the podcast. I will have the DVD collection videos coming out within the next week. I'm still editing the big 2-hour haul package, but that should be out in the next couple days, hopefully. Fingers crossed there. That is going to do it for today's video. Again, thank you all, today's podcast episode. Thank you all again so much for watching. No matter how good we are, always remember, no matter how good we are like last year, how great we are like this year. Go Habs, go. Anna Montreal. And say it with me, everybody. C'est la bue.